This is Red, coming to you from an undisclosed location. As you can see, I'm recording in the dark here, just because my boys, they're getting worried because I'm probing too much in our conversations, asking questions they said I shouldn't be asking. Hey, they're like, the government's listening, so stop asking those questions. I can't answer those questions, but I want to keep asking because the audience wants to know. So again, just like and subscribe, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. All right? See you on the other side. I'll be releasing another video soon.
To high school in Erasmus, teachers are kicking students in the mouth.
Yo,
So-
yo,
What?
what was that?
Yeah.
1965?
That was just that was
again.
Damn.
that was just in the 80s, right?
Damn.
That was just in the 80s.
Please, a brief description of the number, please, for the audience that's going to see this.
Trev, it's crack. Crack on a chicken wing.
Okay, so Lenovo's is pretty. Lenovo's is basically, man. How do you put it? The food is the bomb diggity, right?
Hello, and welcome to a conversation with Rad. And I'm Radcliffe. And today is a special day because normally I would say I'm the host, but that went out the window. So today we have some special guests who are going to be hosting this today. So it's out of my hands. Okay, so today we have Trev from Aki TV. We have Uki. And then we have our favorite uncle from On the Four, Uncle Val.
Now,
So
hold on now. You got to say it right. It's your favorite uncle, Uncle Val.
And with that being said, again, today's show is not my show. Well, it is my show, but it's been taken over. So again, go ahead. It's all you. It's all you guys now. So I'm not sure the format. I know nothing about today. So I'm in the hands of some capable guest hosts. So let's get cracking.
Okay, well let's.
Well,
Go ahead. Well,
I was
first,
just gonna
I'm sorry, Chef. Didn't mean to step on you, but I'm going to step on you. Well, first, let's welcome the audience and the viewing public to a conversation with Rad, myself, Trev, Uki, and On the Four with Chev. We'll be asking the questions. Welcome, Chev. Take over, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to say before we get started, I just want to say a huge thank you to Rad for creating this space, this podcast where basically he's become this group's historian, and he's allowed us to, have these discussions, record them, basically from Buffalo to now, and just document, our struggles, our come up, and just the family bonds that we have built over the years. So I just want to say thank you, Rad. Thank you. And let's get it.
Let's
You're
go.
welcome.
So let's start off by, since this conversation with Rad pretty much surrounds all of our time in Buffalo, right? So I'm gonna start off by asking Rad to basically tell us your journey from maybe high school to Buffalo.
High school. And I'm gonna push a little plug here because and thank you guys for taking this on. I know I'm sitting under the hot lamp right now, because I'm used to being the one putting you guys under the lamp, sing like a bird, but today I'm going to sing. So for me, high school started in Brooklyn, right? Erasmus Hall High School, the oldest functioning high school in America, right? I just want to put that plug in there, the oldest, over 200 years old. It's just a few years after the Constitution was signed. So started in Erasmus after came from Jamaica, West Indies. So when I started high school, to me it was kind of a crazy thing because I came straight from Jamaica into high school, and it was a culture shock, right? So I came here with certain structure, and when I got here and got to high school in Erasmus, teachers were kicking students in the mouth.
Yo,
So,
Yo, son, what?
what was that?
yeah.
1965?
That was just that was
again.
Damn.
that was just in the 80s, right?
Oh, damn.
That was just in the 80s because I went to high school with what's his name again? I got a brand new car every other month. Special ed, right? I went
Special
to
ed?
school with special
I
ed.
got it made.
Yeah, I got it
Yes.
made. Yes.
Okay.
So I went
Think
to school
about it.
with special ed, and I also went to school with what's our friend name? It wasn't me,
Jack,
Shaggy.
come out of
So
here. Okay.
no, yeah, I did. Shaggy kind of left and went off to the military, but we kind of went there together. He was kind of in the back of the cafeteria making beats, and stuff like that. So it was different, again, I didn't know, they didn't know. I'm assuming, I can't speak for them, but they didn't know that was going to happen. It was just, again, it was a culture shock because I came, with structure and everything like that. This was back in like, the 87, 88 kind of thing. Then after graduation, I went to Buff State, right? Buff State, the place to be before it became a university, right? So for us, Buff State College, and so bear with me for a second. I think C is trying to jump in. So, and I apologize to the audience because I can't let C in at this moment. He's trying to join the guests, and he should be in the audience. So I wish I could have let one of you guys control that, but unfortunately, it
That's
does not
okay.
give me that
Let me send a
ability.
message to him. See, get out of here.
You may want to send a chat off to to the fellas. But yeah,
You send the chat off?
no, go ahead. I'm not.
Not okay.
So yeah, going to to Buff State again, that became another culture shock because I'm leaving New York City. I'm following the footstep of Mr. Aki TV, and got up there, got in this in the summer EOP program. Again, we have to give a big up to EOP program. Stayed there for a good 6-week program and loved it. Loved it. Got to meet people outside of New York. Got to meet people that I wasn't expecting to meet and stuff like that. So it was a great experience. Some stuff I really can't. I will not divulge in this podcast. Because I
Not yet.
No, no.
not yet.
Not yet.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this really quick. Why Buff State?
So good question. So I'm gonna kind of jump, back and forward a little bit, and I'm gonna tell you why Buff State, right? So when I was in Erasmus, there was a hospitality program there where I was the maitre d' there. There was actually a restaurant in Erasmus Hall High School, and I was the maitre d', and they were offering me a scholarship to stay local. And again, this was back in the 80s. And sorry, moms, if you hear this one, I just didn't want to stay at home. I needed to go away. So I was like, even though I love the idea of the scholarship to get into this hospitality program, I got to get out of here. And I got accepted to a couple of schools, and I was like, oh, Buffalo was far enough. So I decided Buffalo. Got accepted to some schools that were closer. So that means I would have to probably come home, every now and then. So that's the real reason why I went to Buff State. I wanted to get away from home. I wanted a different experience. I wanted something different than what I saw here in New York.
So let me ask you this too. Now I'm gonna get a little, I guess, a little more detail. Did you get any coercing from anyone to say like, listen, you should come to Buff State? I'm just saying, I don't know.
I don't know if you're trying to point a finger or something, but I'm just trying to say, no, I didn't get coerced. It wasn't anyone that says, hey, this is where, even though, because certain people were there, I would say, more likely I want to come there. But I wasn't coerced to come there. It was close enough to Canada where I had family members, and it was far enough where I can then grow my independence. Right. So that was the real reason.
So sticking with that, you say you weren't coerced. How did your mother feel when you let her know, okay, I'm going to go to Buff State?
A little less food to cook. So I think she was cool. No, she was all right though. She was good because there were, Trev was before me, right? So
Yep.
she knew I would be safe and stuff like that. I would be all right. Family member were at the, I was gonna say the 51st state, but I got warned earlier when I said that. But there were family members across the border right there. If anything, it was a easy and quick thing to go. So she was okay with it. She was good.
Okay.
But I mean, being there, and I was there probably during the summer, first year, and I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna shock a lot of people, right? Being there for the first year, almost no one knew Trev was my brother.
Facts.
And it was, in a previous episode, I thanked him for that because it allowed me to get my
become
own
you.
path, navigate myself,
Yes.
my way
Yes.
through the school. I did use some of the advantages, but without letting anybody know that.
Don't worry about it. A lot of my boys use the advantages of the radio. I'm not gonna call any names, but people used to come with notepads.
Shoot. Okay.
But I got to go to parties. I get to every now and then squeeze a few dollars here and there when I needed a few dollars. Nobody knew where it was coming from, but those were the benefits that I was getting from it. It's like, okay, I need this. Was there. There was even a time where again, I can't believe I'm saying this, where he almost rushed someone for me. So it's like,
Yeah.
Uh,
so again, I reaped the benefits without letting people knew, and people knew after, but that's when I kind of, got my footing and everything like that, but it actually allowed me to grow and to, figure certain things out myself.
Wow. I have a question, an offshoot to that. And Trev, how did you feel having a younger brother there and not telling anyone that, this is my younger brother? I mean, not saying it, but maybe saying it, but just having a brother there.
My close friends knew, obviously, like my roommates all knew, but it wasn't. I was cool with it. My whole thing was that I just wanted to make sure that he fit in. He was comfortable, and I didn't have to worry about that because he did. You know what I'm saying? He had his own. I was a wild guy, so I'm like this now, but I was a wild guy, and that's not his. 7 brothers, 7 different minds, 7 different personalities, type of things.
True.
So he wasn't into the type of things that I was into, but he had his own circle that were doing their own thing, So I didn't feel any way. I just knew that he was good, and that's all that mattered.
Very good. Very good. All right.
So y'all could learn from that. I just want to throw that out there to the audience. Something you can learn from.
So with your career beginning at Buffalo State University now,
Yes.
what did you study? What was your major?
So I studied engineering, electrical engineering, right? So before I went off, I knew I wanted to study something that was complex. I was never the person who, just wanted something easy, right? I wanted something difficult. I wanted a challenge, right? I wanted to actually study. Before I went there, I said I was going to study civil engineering, but that wasn't at Buffalo, right? I was always a tinkerer, right? Where I would take things apart, try to put things together, build little things and stuff like that. And so I had that mindset where that's where I wanted to go. And so I studied electrical engineering for the 4, almost 5 years that I was there. So I started in 89, and graduated in 94. Right. So it was a good thing for me because the way my mind works, I don't think I could do the history wasn't me, the liberal arts wasn't me, or the economic wasn't me. I was that person who needed some kind of challenge when it comes to those things. And that's where I fit in. Electrical engineering.
So, okay, now we've never talked about this either, but how did you meet who's your wife now, your beautiful wife, and when did you meet her?
Okay. And I do apologize if she cut you out of certain things, but I'll still mention her name, but and I hope she don't come downstairs and say, yo, that didn't happen. But so we met in Buffalo, right? So we went to let me step back a little bit. So I used to walk through the Union in the morning going to class. And she used to work in the Union. She used to, where they used to, do the drinks on one side of the cafeteria and stuff like that. So she used to work on that side there, and then the other side was where they had the grill and different things like that. So I went there and I was like, "Can I have some orange juice?" So they had the packaged orange juice already, the one that you already, just to get people going, in and out.
Right.
And then she would go and get some fresh orange juice for me. I'm like, there's orange juice here. She's gonna get me fresh orange juice.
So she made the first move.
This dude had fresh
I
squeeze.
couldn't-
She got you
hear
some.
you.
I
I
said
couldn't
she
hear
made
you.
she made the first move. Got you some fresh squeeze.
I still couldn't hear you. I still couldn't
Yeah,
hear you.
you heard that. So basically, y'all, he got macked.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay.
So the orange juice then becomes every morning I would go get my orange juice. I normally don't. I was like, okay, I need to go get me some orange juice. And after
And she was there every day. Right?
every single day.
Okay.
And I was there every day, the same time, the same place, And then we there was an episode when we there was a camping at Whispering Pines, right? Love me some Whispering Pines because that's where I would say, things kind of, looked up and stuff like that. There was a swing and we were swinging and, talking and stuff like that, and found out that, you know what? Hey, I wouldn't mind swinging with you through retirement.
Oh, here we go.
You get the tissue. You get some tissues.
You listen to that head.
I'm saying, I am saying,
So you
I
had
wouldn't
to come.
mind
You had to
swinging
come
a rocking
stronger
chair in
than that,
retirement.
man. You had to come stronger than that.
That's very, very smart. Very smart.
So that's where we met, and then then everything is it's history after that. After now 28 years later, this is where we are. But it started in that swing, and when we would come back home, I would borrow.
No. It started before the swing. Now,
Okay, started back at orange juice
there you go.
In the cafeteria.
There
in the
you go.
cafeteria. That's why I love me some Buffalo State.
Yeah,
All
okay.
right.
Yes.
So it started there, and I'm not crying, people. So just,
Yeah, like that.
there's there's dust in my basement. I
Yes,
don't know.
okay,
Yeah.
Yes.
It's orange juice got in his eye, fellas. Orange juice got in
Yes,
his eye.
fresh squeezed orange juice got my eye. That's exactly what happened.
Nice.
So so it started there, and came home, still living in Brooklyn. I had to borrow my sister's car to drive over to to Queens, and the Queens people had yard. I wasn't used to yard when I came here. It was like I'm in a building. So looked in the back, I was like, she's got a pool as well. And then one of my boys are like, yo, I guess you gotta marry her. They got a pool in the back.
That's all it took.
Yo,
that wasn't me. That wasn't me saying it.
I know.
saying,
I'm just saying. That's all it took.
that means no more public pool. That's what it meant.
Yeah.
So
I got you.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's kind of how we met. Is that the orange juice, then the pool, and we used to rehearse for plays because she was big in the in the theater kind of thing as well, school stuff, not the professional stuff. And she was in a band and stuff like that at high school, so I kind of picked up a couple things there. And we were playing parts and plays and at Buff State, when CSO has certain things. I'm glad Aki TV's not on, because talking
I'm
about
glad you. I'm glad you clean. I'm glad you cleaned that up too. I thought you were gonna talk about we were role playing.
ain't no role playing here, brother.
Wow.
So yeah, we were playing some skits and stuff like that, and things just kind of gradually went on from there. So she became life partner after that.
Okay. So if we can just take you guys back to Buff State, and you knew you wanted to be an engineer, electrical engineer. And it doesn't have to be in your major, but what was some of the classes that you took that you just, the professor that you had that just stuck with you all these years later?
And here's the craziest thing, right? The craziest thing, it wasn't a professor in the engineering class. It was LaHood that stuck with me. Because when somebody can say something to you that just triggers certain things. I remember I was struggling to write an English paper once, right? And he would say to me, so he was talking, and I'm there listening. And then I went back and regurgitated certain things that he said. And he's like, man, you're a good listener. But, on the paper itself, he would come back and say, listen, you're writing this paper. I need you to think majestically. All right. I need you to think, as if you're a king, or, you live in a palace, or, that's how your writing is supposed to be when you're writing. You can't just, most of the time, you yourself is not that interested. You have to make somebody believe something else. And that really stuck with me. Yeah. Because he saw that and was like, okay, this is how you do things. And it kind of opened up your mind. Again, this was just for English. I think it was English 102. Again, that was just, core. But it kind of made me think a bit differently, in the engineering part of, of my stuff. Because again, the engineers were weird. If I'm going to say it, I'm gonna be bold. The professors were freaking weird. All right, I had a professor who taught, I forgot which one of the courses he taught, and coming into the building, he would find every corner, every wall before he gets to his class. So he would walk against the wall, come around. If there's like a little bump out, it would go there, come out, come back around, come in, and all the way around until he gets to his class. He's not going to cross the hall. He's going to go around and come back. So he was so smart that he didn't need certain things, right? But it was just weird to us, and we're like, okay, I guess that's just him. There was one black professor in the engineering department who taught electronic engineering, and he made sure that we knew where we are, the things that we needed to do and stuff like that. And I remember him kind of not pull us aside, but whenever time we go and talk with him, or office hours and stuff like that, he would remind us, that, hey, you know, you may have certain things against you, but I need you to put your all in. I need you to work your ass off, to get to this, to where you need to get to. So those things stuck with me. There's little quirks about different professors. And again, a lot of my professors were weird because in the engineering department, they were just straight up weird, but they knew their stuff. They knew how to relay that to you so you understood and everything like that. And I really appreciate them, for that.
Okay.
Okay. So sticking with Buff State, do you recall when you met this group that we get together every Saturday and, have discussions and talk shit and talk mess. I'm sorry. But the most important thing, support each other.
So I met different people at different times, right? Again, I knew Pedro for a long time. I went up there and saw him, so that was easy, right? That was the easy button, right? Because I already was familiar with him. And in a previous discussion, I mentioned that we were rolling in the same church circle, so we knew each other.
Church choir, right? I remember that, right? You guys sang in the choir, right?
Not me. Pedro did. I don't want people to see me out there and say, "Yo, can you sing me something so I can hear it?"
Bringing in the sheep, bringing in the sheep.
So when I went to some of the parties like the Crimson and Cream or different step shows and stuff like that, I would meet some of the other individuals. Like there's like I think I met like Fedna. I was gonna say the bus, but Dave. I remember.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you why, they call him the bus. He's probably got a flat now, so the bus is not rolling anymore. So I met a lot of those guys there, and also every now and then I would go to the radio station and I see a few guys there as well. Again, I didn't know who was who at that point, but stepping back, I kind of realized, okay, those were the guys that were there. I met, Tennyson, I believe during it was in the union that I think I first met Tennyson. And this was when, people were coming in to school. I guess Tennyson was there, either try to help folks or whatever the case is. And I remember distinctly saw Tennyson there. Right. So I met people in different places. And I know there was a party at this was off of Forest. I think it was Oit or something like that. I don't remember, but I know when Tennyson took me to one of those, it was me, I believe it was Clement, and it was I think it was Woody, right?
Okay.
And we went there and we kind of met a lot of people there as well, because again, you guys, for us, we were freshmen, so we didn't know anybody. And that's where I kind of met a lot of people. And then after kind of put the face to, okay, I guess you were there, you were at Trev's place, because I was always, I think he mentioned Park, is it Parkdale or something like that? Yeah. Where he had that place. Again, Trev's place was the meeting place. And I used to go every now and then. Again, even when he was there, I would go there sometime. People didn't know who I was. So again, I was distinctly there looking at different people and stuff like that, and saw, okay, this is how I met, these people and stuff like that. And honestly, Luke, the first time I think I remember, you probably don't remember this, but it was on a basketball court, and I'm thinking Reese, to be honest. That was the first time I think I saw you, was on a basketball court. Right?
Word?
Yeah, seriously. And I mean, I couldn't play basketball for crap, so I definitely wasn't on the course.
I'm about to say you played some. I remember you on the court now. Yeah.
No, I play a little. I'm saying,
Yes.
compared to to where other people were, I definitely wasn't playing. Right? I wasn't. So who else should we pick? They weren't picking Rad. I'm just saying, they weren't picking Rad. So yeah, that's kind of how I met a lot of the individuals. Like, little pieces here and there is how I met a lot of people. And I'm glad you mentioned the, the Saturday conversation, because, when individuals start talking about it, I'm like, yes, I was there as well. But, sometimes you don't remember, certain things and stuff like that. It's been over 30 years.
I think I remember I used to see you a lot in the union.
I was going for my orange juice. Maybe that's what it is.
Yes.
I don't know, brother. I wasn't up that early.
Yes, I was in the union a lot, because at one point, a couple of friends should I say this? Yeah, a couple of friends used to call me social butterfly. I don't know where that came from.
And I remember you guys, especially, during bingo pause, going to your CSO meetings and all that stuff.
Yes.
Yes. The CSO piece was big because I was vice president at one point of CSO. The we had to step in at one point, to save CSO, because the president and the VP, let me see how to say it, they got kicked out.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't a mutiny.
Right.
It was just you know they went other places. All right, so they weren't in the school anymore. So there was an emergency meeting by some of the board members, like Eve, and some other members say, hey, we need you guys to step in. So I stepped in as VP. My boy Soup stepped in as president. My boy Rob stepped in as sergeant of arms. Those type of things. So that's why I was, whenever time there was any things going on for CSO, I was around, because I just made sure, that things were on the up and up. I definitely didn't want to. I wasn't really looking for a position, because again, with my coursework and stuff like that, it was a lot, and this wasn't something that I was gunning for. But you stepped up when you had to.
Now, how long did you hold that position?
I held it for an entire semester, until we can get other people in, and then after that, I believe, and there was no nepotism. I'm just going to say it out first before I say what I'm going to say. Then the wife became president. Before she was the wife, then she became president, and I still stayed involved in the organization.
Of course you did.
We know. We know.
Again, it was a small circle, so
Yeah.
she did it justice, but we got the budget increase, through USG. It was probably around 5,000 when we were there initially, and then got it up to about 12,000, I believe, which was a lot back in those times. So we were able to bring entertainers. I brought Sprague Benz there. He and I almost kicked off, and I hope he's not listening to this or whatever, but he came there, and he and his entourage, and he's like, yo, I'm just gonna do one song. I was like, you must be out of your freaking mind.
Money we paying you.
Now, no, I don't know if he was joking or not.
Right.
But I was like, yo, that shit is not happening. That is not happening. So he ended up did a really nice show, really good show. And I think one of my boys, somebody that I met back in Erasmus, was with him as well. So I think that kind of made things even better. But yeah,
And
I had a good time there.
Good. And I will add that we've all have done stuff for our ladies. Because I will say, I don't think I'd mention this, but I would tell you this. I joined AEL because of my lady.
We did what we had to do.
And at one point I was the AEL treasurer.
Did you move to North Wing at one point?
I lived in North Wing for my first 2 years at Buff State. My first 2
Okay,
years.
I see why. I see why.
Yep. So,
Look
but
at that.
yeah,
Look at that. So you see the connection that we do have, the three of us that are here right now, all of our wives. You know what I mean? In the years we've been together, you know what I mean?
There is a connection there somewhere. There is a
Pat yourself on
connection.
the back. You some smart gentlemen right there.
listen, you don't survive. My wife and I, we've been together 38 years. You don't survive that long without doing what she says.
Yo, listen, man. Wow. If you total all the years we've been together, 32,
Yeah.
28, and 30, 38?
38.
Woo! Beautiful.
Yep.
Hats
Yeah.
off to you, gentlemen. Great job. Great job.
Yep.
Definitely,
38.
definitely sometimes.
38. So let me say this. I'm sorry, go ahead, Chef.
No, go ahead. Because I
I'm
think
just
we're on the same path.
okay, because Rad, you mentioned a bit about one of our brothers and the brother who really brought this group together, Tennyson.
Yes.
And so one of the things that really makes this group special was the bond that was created by Tennyson when he, transitioned. You know, there was a little bond, between some brothers, but he brought the majority of us together again once he transitioned. And, it was a beautiful thing. I guess what we want to know is, what do you remember about Tennyson, and what would you like to share, with the audience that stands out for you about your interactions with Tennyson?
So I think I've already mentioned, him getting us into that party, a place, where again, I didn't know, whether I would be able to get in or not. Right. But he helped us, helped us there. So that was the social, connection in the beginning, that we had. Right. But the biggest thing I remembered, was just Tennyson, just kind of try to help in any way he can, as far as help you navigate, your way through. um I remember when, we were in the union, and I guess he was, kind of see what was going on, and I'll leave it at that. Right.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean he was there when you getting that fresh squeezed orange juice? What?
Oh, we're still on that, huh?
You know, I was anyway. Continue.
I'm going to leave that one alone.
Yeah.
That wasn't said by me.
Okay.
I still love my orange juice, um
Yes.
so, but
Is it still fresh squeezed?
I still love my orange juice.
Smart man right there. Come on now. Yeah, for nothing, son.
Yeah. You mean, am I squeezing my orange juice? Is that what you're saying? I do squeeze my own orange juice every now and then.
Okay. Hey,
So
you got to make sure it's right.
you just got to make sure.
Got to make sure.
But definitely, let's see. But definitely, one of the big thing I remembered, right? The big thing sorry, Trev, I think you may need to mute one of your device
He just did.
or disconnect the other one. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I remember. Okay, so the public safety van. I remember I used to get rides in that, right? Just going just to see how things work and stuff like that, because I remember taking it sometimes with Pedro, or taking it sometimes with Tennyson.
Were you moving any furniture when you were in that van? I'm just curious.
I used to take it from I used to get on probably around,
Okay.
on the other side of tower,
Never took that
and
van.
make my way all, you know,
Okay.
used to just kick back and relax, not going anywhere specific, right? It was just one of those things where you just get in a van just to get a ride, and go around, and watch, folks getting on and off, and who would get certain professional treatments and stuff like that. Won't call any names and stuff like that, but almost like the moving thing, but the other thing.
Uh-huh.
That's one of the thing I remembered where he would make sure that the ladies would get pick up and drop off where they need to be dropped off, right? I've never ventured off campus, so I can't give you any story about the van leaving the campus. I just remember it going around the campus. Maybe other folks can mention that, but I've never seen it gone off campus.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave it at that one. But coming back down to New York, we kind of met up a few times. I used to see him when I was coming through the train station, not the train station, but the railroad, right? Coming on the railroad, I would see him sometimes, and we're there talking, or I would see Lisa on the railroad as well, and just having a conversation. And then after,
Excuse me, were you guys walking on the track?
No. We were at Penn Station. We met at Penn Station. In the station, not on the railroad.
Okay. I'm just having those clarifying. Just clarifying for the audience.
I'm thinking Chevy's been out of New York so long. You have to explain.
What's the railroad?
This is not the 4 coming down from the Bronx, right?
Yeah.
This is the one that comes to the east side.
Okay.
But we'd meet up there and would have some conversation and stuff like that. And then, soon thereafter, got an invitation for the wedding and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, because I can't remember exactly where it was, but I remember it was I think it was this place where the thing came up out of the ground. I can't remember that place, but it was a really, really nice service they had there. So kind of spotty as far as what we're covering for Tennyson. But the craziest thing I remembered was when Trev was about to get married, and there wasn't a there wasn't a bachelor party, and he basically gave me a call and said, "Yo, when is the bachelor party?" I'm like, Tennyson, there's no bachelor party. He's like, "What? You know, we can just kidnap him and take him some." I'm like, "Yo," I'm like, seriously, Tennyson, you're using the word kidnapping. We cannot kidnap him, and so he was just that type of person. He was just, he wanted to, to make sure things were right. He wanted to make sure that Trev had, a good time before his wedding, whether he takes him out and get him drunk or whatever the case is. But that's how caring he was, right? He wanted to step in just to make sure those things happen. And you just, kind of look at that and like, wow, this guy cares so much about the people that he calls friends.
True.
And as you mentioned, the Saturday conversation started because of him. That kind of tells you a little bit about Tennyson, right?
Yes.
He wanted to make sure that, even before him, you were okay. You were good.
Yeah.
Is there something I can do for you? Is there something I can help you with? That was the person I remembered. So he was just a great brother, and really and truly will be missed and have been missed.
Yes. But like you always say, I know when you're doing your interviews, you always say, when you correct yourself when you say he won't be missed because he's always with us, and I appreciate that when you say that, and it's you correcting yourself. No one else does.
Yeah.
It's you. Like, wait a minute, he's still here with us, and I think that's just your insight on what Tennyson brings to the group. Is very valuable, man, invaluable. So I really appreciate that about you, and just talking about Tennyson and how he was, like you say, the glue to the group. Chevelle mentioned this earlier in the introduction, and thanking you. Uh, you had this vision I just want you to elaborate a little bit more on, you had this vision of capturing our Saturday conversations and recording it and kind of archiving it, but you also wanted to share it with the world. You always mention that. Listen, I think this is phenomenal. What's going on? And I think everybody in the group always mentions, when they talk to somebody that's outside of the group, how they're always saying like, "Wow, you mean to tell me you guys still talk? You still associate with each other?" Just a bit. But why did you think it was so important to share our story with everyone else?
Okay, so I'll step back and step forward, right? So the Saturday conversation started before this, right? Knowing your brothers, on the Saturday conversation, you would go back to Buff, you would come here, you would go in between and stuff like that. You were telling your stories, right? Without even knowing that's what you were doing. Um, you talked about the camaraderie you guys have, right? You talk about the bond. You know, I was late on the Tuesday, funnies from Tennyson. I got a couple of those late. So that told me that you guys have been doing this for a while. And for me, because again, with this conversation, right, it's not just there chatting and stuff like that. We talk about what? Health, our brother Tito, and I got to mention this because I just called his name. Our brother Tito is, his last checkup, he was cancer free.
Yes.
Cancer free. He mentioned this on his,
Yes.
so I really, really have to mention that. And thanks to his doctor and the man above,
Yes.
for bringing him through this. So I really, 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 really appreciate that. Right. So we talk about health, we talk about finances, right? We got our stock brother, on, our, should I call him crypto brother on the line? we talk about, certain things that are impacting us today. We talk about family,
Being fathers.
we talk about being fathers, and don't forget grandfathers. One of our brothers who's in, Florida, Mr. Mango TV.
Very good, very good.
Don't forget Fedna is also a grandfather.
And Fedna is a grandfather. Fedna's daughter just graduated, so I just want to big him up on that, right? As well as Tennyson's daughter.
Tennyson's daughter graduated. Fedna's daughter just got married.
Married. Thank you for the correction. Yes, so, and my daughter just got her job in the north. So there's
Yes.
we're
Good
on
news
these
all around.
conversations, and so we're on these conversations and we're sharing these things. And my thing was, why are we just saying it here and it stays here? If there's something that we can say or do just to change someone's life, to give somebody some insight, even one person, we can do that. And so I've asked you guys, consent. Can I tell your story? Can I chronicle your stories and put it out there? Do you mind if I put it out there? And resoundingly, everybody said yes. So, thank you for allowing me to doing that, right? And I got to give a big shout out to, our favorite uncle, Vel.
Is that a self-proclaimed thing? I'm confused. I didn't get my Lenovo's, so I can't with this favorite thing. I'm waiting for my Lenovo's.
What did I tell you about your Lenovo's when you get here?
So for those who don't know what Lenovo is, can you please a brief description of Lenovo, please, for the audience that's going to see this
Trev, it's crack on a chicken wing.
Okay, so Lenovo's is pretty. Lenovo's is basically, man. How do you put it? The food is the bomb diggity, right? I'm using the old school slang to describe it, because so Lenovo's was like when we were in college. It's a treat. It was like a real treat, because it's we can get the 2-for-1 slice of pizza in other places, cheap pizza over here, but Lenovo's is like the closest thing you can get to like New York pizza in Buffalo. and not just pizza, but the food that they serve is just
Chicken
the
wings.
chicken wings. Yeah, they're known for also. That's the main thing. They're known
Pit.
for the
The
chicken
chicken
wings.
wings from the
The
pit.
chicken wings are no joke. But I love.
And also with Lenovo's, if you think about it,
And by the way, they're not
that was a
sponsored
bond.
because I
It
feel
was
like
a
I just did a commercial.
no.
I was
Yes.
No,
thinking the same
they're
thing.
not
Like, yo, they
sponsored.
get free
Yes.
advertising now.
But
What's up?
but what I was gonna add though, it was a bonding event because we all had to put in to get the
Yes.
Lenovo's.
And
You know?
it was a treat, you know. It wasn't what we were used
Yes.
to getting. It wasn't the
Yes.
25-cent
Yeah.
wings that we were used to eating. And 2-for-1 slice of
No,
pizza.
not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. So as I said, I didn't want to give Lenovo's credits. I wanted to give Uncle Vel the credit for ushering me through now up to episode 8 of this podcast, because on the 4 have been doing it for a while, right? Uncle Vel's, sis and his nieces, they are putting out, content, and, just talking about, life itself, and no holds barred, nothing, nothing is off, the table with that, with those conversation, so what do I say? Tree, uh, Tosh,
Sweet tea
and Sweet
And your
Tea, so,
and
your favorite uncle,
favorite uncle.
so
Hey,
so we got to give big up to them, because had I not been watching and listening to them, and then talking to Chev, Uncle Vel, about wanting to do this, and, him helping me through this, saying, hey, I was nervous, initially. And he's like, listen, don't worry about this. You do the first one. As you said, Lenovo's was like crack. This is now crack.
and we're not promoting crack either.
Thank you
no,
very much.
not at all. Not at all.
This flavor is very
That was just my way of describing how addictive the Lenovo's was.
And
Or
how
is.
addictive this
It
would
is,
be.
yeah.
Yes.
So again, thank you. And that is the reason why I wanted to chronicle the stories. There is a lot of things being discussed on a Saturday, and sometimes some of it spill over into here. But believe me, there's a lot there that doesn't come here, right? And there's a place and time for all of those conversations. But again, that is a reason, Ook, when you said what made me wanted to chronicle the stories. You guys were telling your stories, and sometimes we go, and I'm gonna talk about my mom for a quick second as well. Love her to death. I went there once, right? And I was talking to her about something. And then she said something like, and I had a older brother lived in England. I'm like, what the hell? So that, and some cousins that are around, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm about in my 50s right now. Oops, sorry, I'm in my 40s.
Okay.
I'll edit that out.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm just finding out about this. So there's so many things that, when our kids go back and look at this, because this will be there forever, right? When our kids go back and look at this, they're gonna say, man, Dad, I didn't know this. Or a friend sees it, or a relative sees it, and, like, just like somebody said to Rambo, I didn't know all those things about you.
Mhm.
And this was somebody from England.
Yes.
So that's the reason why I wanted to tell the
Yeah.
stories.
And it's interesting that you mentioned having relatives in England. Maxie Priest found out, and not everybody will know who Jacob Miller is, but Jacob Miller was a famous singer in Jamaica in the 70s, and he passed in a car accident pretty, so early in his career. And so Maxie Priest found out that they're first cousins, like late after he became a star. They're actually first cousins because Maxie Priest's father left Jamaica and went to England, and Jacob Miller's father, Maxie Priest and Jacob Miller, father are brothers, basically. They're that close. Wow. They're that close, and he never knew until So there's just a lot of things like people find out. For example, also there's a group called Black Uhuru out of England, right? They're based out of England. The lead singer with the hair that goes up like that.
Yeah.
His last name is, I'm not going to say my grandparents' last name, but his last name is basically similar. You understand what I'm saying? And, at times I look at it and I'm like, I'm wondering, could that be that uncle? You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Right,
you know what I'm
right.
saying? And how do you would even find out? Because there's, people move to different parts of the world and kind of split. You know what I mean? It's like it's human
Yes.
nature type of thing. But it's very interesting. It's interesting that she said that, because I always thought about dude.
Yeah. No, definitely. And you see the reason why I wanted to chronicle
Yeah.
this. And I did say I was gonna pitch something. So and this is kind of dirty, Rad, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So I've never been in the military.
Go on.
Listen, when I was in Erasmus, I got a notice for selective service, which was something that takes you into the military. But I decided to go off to to college. My one of our brother Rambo was a Marine. One of our other brother Frank was a Marine.
What?
So we have the military in our circle.
Yeah, Pedro.
Pedro, yes, well, was a medic. In the military as well. We have NYPD in our circle.
Don't forget my boys.
Sergeant.
Don't forget my Boy Scout duties.
No. That's don't be trying to take credit for mine.
Okay, you can have that. You can have that. I didn't really invoke Vietnam, but you can have that.
On my honor, I will do my duty.
But as I said, I've never been in the military, but I am close to a lot of military personnel.
Yes.
And
we're all in the selective service. You have to be in the selective service. Once you turn 18, in order to receive any type of financial aid to go to college or whatever, all males, once you turn 18, you have to sign up for the selective service.
You have to register for selective service.
Yes, sir.
And we did need that financial service because, again, our parents did not have it. So we were glad and happy to accept it. I accepted the Pell, the stuff from, Seek and EOP. I did a little bit of Upward Bound. I did everything I can, to make my way through college. And here I am, guest on my own show.
And I don't want to get political, but unfortunately, the Orange Goon is planning on doing all of these things because supposedly, you guys have been getting a free ride. But whatever.
Yeah, true. Max, that's yes. Put it out
And
there.
if we can go back for a second, I don't think we touched on it. Once you became an engineer, where did that take you?
So the engineer for me, when I came out, I was job seeking, right? I got opportunity to look at Caterpillar, which was in Chicago. I knew Chicago was probably colder than Buffalo, but I would have been able to do it because Buff taught me something where we were talking about 4 inches of ice on your window. So I could do it. But that didn't pan out, right? And so in my background, I did a lot of computers, right? So I did Fortran, that's an older, computer language. I did C plus. I did Borland C. I did what was the other one called? I forgot. But I also did machine language, right? Because I was in an engineering program. Those things kind of geared me up for where I am today, right? So I'm gonna go there after I come around. So um, while I was there with the engineering program, it taught me how to think about these things, how to analyze things, how to step back and see certain things, big picture kind of thing. Whenever time I'm doing anything, it's the big picture that I'm looking at when it comes to engineering, because that's how they taught you. It was the umbrella syndrome, where you do things not just for the little pole, you did stuff to cover, a larger swath, right? And
Okay.
so it kind of taught me to to think in that way. And so because I did not go into the the engineering field itself after I left school, studied engineering, electrical engineering, power option, where I was looking to design mission line, to be more efficient. And let me just step on that for a little bit. One of the reasons why you see so many transformers so close to each other is because once you start transmitting power over, it loses you're losing certain, you know, so they have to keep stepping them up and stepping them down. If you had
Interesting.
a more efficient way of transmitting it, which would be, stuff like superconductors and different things like that, those type of things would allow you to you know put those things a further distance and transmit more power without losing certain things.
Mhm.
And so I looked at that and said, okay, what's the closest thing to that I can look at? Then I start looking at computers. Again, I already did some computers. I wasn't in the computer science, but I had to do a lot of computers there because I designed one of the programs at Bus State when I left. I know they were using it to count student records. They would actually, give me the student record and I would run them through that system and stuff like that. And they were using it at one point, so, big up to Bus State for allowing me to do that part of it. So
Did you get your
when I
royalty check?
came, no royalty at all, none. I
Hey,
think they
the
they
first
may
one's
have them.
free, son. The first one's free.
The first one.
So after I did that, I came down and I think I relaxed for a little bit, a few months, which is a little bit, right? I was in a place where there were friends, people around me who weren't working, right? And something came up where there was a strike. And normally they said, hey, don't cross the picket line and stuff like that. I did. I crossed the picket
Scab,
line.
scab.
To help. I had a goal in mind, right? My goal was to try and get some individuals jobs and then bounce.
Mhm.
Because the job that I took at that point, it was at this um this place where they used to print checks for Smith Barney, right? And basically somebody with a college degree, electrical engineering, was sweeping floors, breaking up boxes and stuff like that. I wasn't saying anything to anyone. I was just trying to find my way to get other people jobs. When I left there, about 2 people got jobs there, right? But before I left, the manager found out that I had a degree, and he's like, "Yo, you can be my boss." I'm like, "I'm not here for that. I'm here for a specific reason, and once that reason is fulfilled, I'll be gone." And
Mhm.
soon thereafter, I left. And that's where I went to NBC, and I worked there for a while. Work on the TV network sector, not behind the cameras or anything. The network that support those individuals. Got chance to go see rehearsals and different shows. Like Saturday Night Live and stuff like that.
Okay.
Saw Pamela Anderson rehearsing and different things like that. Al Roker, all of those people, walking up and down and stuff like that. So that again was a short stint, because again, I knew what my goal was. That was a door that led me into what I'm doing today. Not going to go into detail as to what I'm doing today, but I've been with this organization now for over for 28 years.
Don't tell me
Good.
you like brother, man. Like, what does he do? What, is, what does he do? What is that? I said no
Pick
details.
up the pieces. I have a I have a 2-part question.
Yes, sir.
just thinking back to your time here at Buff State,
Yes.
besides your wife, what was your best takeaway from your time at Buff State?
Best takeaway. I think just the leadership positions I was in. I mentioned I worked with C-Step in different places. I was the assistant director, for Upward Bound at one point. The summer pro part of it, right? For CSO, I was VP there. So it kind of helped you with the leadership part of it. So I think honestly, yeah, there was coursework, there was different things, but if I can say that was one of the greatest thing I took away from there was being able to deal with different personality. Because everybody have their own personality. You're talking about the CSO program where, you know, you're getting from one spectrum to another, and you had to know how to deal with that, so that, and also with young minds coming into the Upward Bound program from different parts of the country, and some of the Caribbean nations had students coming in, and you kind of you're molding these young minds, so those were two of the things that I can look at that I said I really really enjoyed those, and I think those part of the program are helping me up to today.
Okay. What my second part was going to be, but I'm like, we're gonna end this on a high note, because it was gonna be what was what was your worst moment? But no, we're gonna end this on a high
Worst?
note.
No. I want to go there. I'm going to go there.
Okay.
My worst moment was, and I'm glad it was my worst moment because I didn't go through with it. My worst moment was I was thinking about leaving school. And it wasn't because of my grades. It was I was at a place where I was like, I can't deal with this anymore. Had my I had my driver's permit. I didn't drive. I didn't have anything at one point. I was like, this is pissing me off. I used to take the bus over to Canada, and I'd write in a diary, all of that stuff, what's going on. And I was at this point where I was like, I think I'm gonna leave. And I actually start filling out the papers and then destroyed it. So that is something that people don't even know, that I was gonna do that. And I am so happy that I didn't do that part of it, because again, I don't think I would be here.
Facts.
We're glad you didn't follow through.
Facts.
We're definitely glad you didn't follow through.
Appreciate it.
Is there anything else you would like to share with us?
Well, let me share this. Since yeah, I'm a guest right now, but I still want to share this part of it. Thank you, brothers, for for being a trailblazer, being who you are. For this podcast, starting it out. I mean, wait a minute. The first 3 guests are are. I'm wondering if this is a payback. Wait a minute. I wonder if this is a payback. I'm now thinking about this. Is this some payback or something?
Word. Facts.
Uki being the trailblazer, you know, and didn't get the audience that he rightfully deserved. But I'm gonna plug this right now that there will be a part 2 with these 3 brothers. Because starting out, it started out a little bit rough, and I wanted to make sure that I capture you guys the way you should be captured. I want one of those seminars, Uki. So I will be recording it.
Hey.
Hey,
All
Trev,
right.
I got to go get my old Boy Scout uniform so I can wear it for part 2.
So I'm saying,
Maybe I'll bring a picture of the Boy Scout uniform.
Well, or you could use AI and put yourself in any war. So
You go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go. There you go.
we'll see. We'll see how we want to
But
on this.
I just want to thank you, Rad, for putting this together, and thank you for allowing me to assist you. So it is, and I think knowing each other, or just recognizing each other from all that time ago. We weren't really that close, but in this short period of time, we become brothers. I've
100,
known
100%.
Uki and Trev forever, and it feels like that with you as well. I've known you forever. So you are my brother, and I appreciate what you're doing, and we're here to support, and the next round just gonna be better.
Definitely.
I just want to know when I'm going to be on the 4. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna get you
Okay.
there. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you there real soon. As a matter of fact.
All right. Nice.
Yeah. But I appreciate your support with On the 4. You'll hit me,
Thank
send
you.
me a message. Oh, I listened to this. I listened to this episode, and I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
It's anytime, and we're definitely supporting each other. We have to support each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm saying this again. This is your guys' show. I'm here as a guest, so don't sit here wait for me to do certain things.
Wait, is there anybody in the audience that wants to jump?
Snap. That's right. The audience participation.
Before we do that, let's
Yeah.
let's close this part of it out, right? So thanks for tuning in. I'll do Rad's job right now.
Yeah.
To a conversation with Rad. I hope today's discussion sparks something new for you and serves as an inspiration to find time for enduring friendships. Don't forget to subscribe and join the next time for more meaningful conversations. Until then, stay curious and keep the discussion going. Military.
And I just want to add, for all of those out there who are thinking they want to do something like this, and don't know how to start, send us. Listen, On the 4 has an email. You can send me an email, and I'll help you. But if this is something you want to do, it's not expensive.
Just
It
do
doesn't
it.
have to be. You can use your phone. You have a good phone with a good camera. You can start there. Start recording yourself, just talking about anything.
And let's
But
bring
just
the others.
We're taking a short break, but the conversation doesn't have to stop here. We invite you to join our guest for some casual chat and banter. Share your thoughts, ask questions, or just enjoy the moment. Let's make this a lively and engaging exchange. See you in a few.
Audience in while we
Yes.
yeah, but
True.
just but just start.
pontificates.
Actually, I don't see anyone there right now, but you can text them if you want, just to tell, but yeah.
Well, no, that's fine. We're here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to?
Is this your longest episode?
Why we got to go there? Why we got to go there?
I was just asking.
Because you're the host. You smash all the records.
You're the creator.
Listen, I may split it, because it is long, so who knows? But I definitely like this format. As you can see, there's certain things that have changed on, as we evolve. And again, this show, this podcast, it is not just me. My name might be on it, but it's a collective. It's this group. It's us. We're building something, right? So and I definitely, appreciate, all that you guys have done for me, all that
With you.
the support with me. Appreciate it. Just helping me grow. Again, I hate to push this plug out there, but I'm the youngin' of the group. I'm in my 40s.
No, hey, listen. My last
So
birthday,
I need your help.
I was 30.
My goodness. So let me tell you this. This is how connected we are. Let me tell you this. We didn't mention this, I think on purpose, me and Rad. This happened about 2 weeks ago, right? I think it was a Wednesday morning, right? No, me
Yes.
and Rad didn't conversate or anything, nothing. I took my son, he broke his foot. So I took him for, he broke his foot a month ago. So I took him for evaluation, a second opinion, right? So I'm sitting down, I go in, I check in, and I sit down in the waiting room, and I look at my phone. I'm sitting down, and I look at my phone, and I see a call from Rad. I'm like, oh, he must need some information about something. Okay. Then, he said something like, look up. So I look up, and the dude was right across from me in the same way. Yo, and here, you know how we are, how our people are. I'm like, yo, Rad, yo, what's going on? Like, I never seen it last Saturday. We just conversated, but it was just like, you know what I mean? It was just like, wow, this is amazing. Well, what's going on, Rad? Like, yo, it was just good to see him, And I was like, yo, didn't care who was in the room or whatever. It was just like, yo, whatever. It was our room. We just took it was our room. Like, yo, what's going on? And his wife was there, and and I was like, oh man. He's like, oh yo, we gotta talk about this, man. Cause I'm like, it was just crazy. Like, we would meet up in Long Island. I went and we would meet up at this place.
Yep.
You know what I mean? At this, like, with no kind of there was nothing talked about going to the doctor or nothing. It just it happened.
It was crazy because just, again, you sat down, I sat down, I didn't see you, and I looked up and I saw you, and my thing was like, you know what? I'm not gonna go over there. I'm gonna call the phone. And he's sitting right in front of me. Call the phone. I'm like, yo, dude, you better pick up.
Oh, it was like a movie. It was like unreal for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, imagine, that it was just unreal for a minute, and and that's why it was. But it was touching, like, to actually see, brother, not via Zoom, but in person. You know what I mean? We see each other. But it was real cool to see him there. And it was just like, wow, man, that was 2 weeks ago, and we didn't talk about it. I guess on purpose. We ain't,
Yeah.
it's come when it comes out. It comes out. You know what I mean? So I guess it was time for us to share. But man, I'm telling you,
I'm supposed to meet up with Brother Tito on Friday.
But yeah, he's
Friday,
coming to
okay.
Buffalo.
Yeah, he's coming to Buffalo. I already hit him up.
Is he leaving from New York to Buff, or he's going back to Kakalaki first?
I think they're driving. So I think they're driving from New York, because he mentioned he mentioned Saturday that it takes about 5 hours from where he is to get to Buffalo.
Yeah, because he's not. I don't think he's going back to North Carolina until he has an appointment next month.
So in July he's going back.
Yeah. So he's gonna be around for a little bit longer.
So Brad, who's next? What's the next interview
So,
we can expect?
I'm supposed to send off Danny's. Danny's on Friday. Friday at about 6. So you guys will be getting that one as well. So Danny's coming up next. And then I have Dave send me some stuff. So I'm trying to get times, and then Vic send me his stuff as well. So I think we should be able to get those rolling. So I'm hoping to get, those things, ready and stuff like that for the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Well, we can close this out then. And once again, thank you for tuning in to a conversation with Rad, with me, your favorite uncle, Uncle Vale. We got
uncle.
Oh, you snap.
We got Trevor Dean in the building. We got Uki, and most of all, we got our man Radcliffe. Thank you, brother. Thank you. See y'all next time.
See you next time, maybe on the 4. Who knows?
Who knows?